In this week's episode, I talk with Rose Gibson, founder of BabyBeats, a nationwide company that helps empower women throughout motherhood to be the best version of themselves. We talk about her book, I'm Fine, which is an honest reflection of the challenges of motherhood. We talk about mum guilt and mum guilt gremlins. And we also talk about the idea of needing a village to help you raise that child and support us on this journey. It's a fascinating conversation, and it's so interesting to hear all about Rose's story. Welcome to the Happy Thriving Mums podcast, the show that talks about the simple actions busy mums like you can take to prioritise your own health, happiness and fitness. And it doesn't stop there. This show also includes amazing stories from remarkable women who help others to be the best version of themselves. Because if you feel great, you thrive, and so does your family. So, if you're ready to overcome mum guilt, manage overwhelm, feel and look your best, and create a happier, more balanced life for yourself and your family, this podcast is for you. Hi Rose, welcome to the Happy Thriving Mums podcast. How are you doing today?
Hi, thank you for having me. I'm really good, thank you.
Great, I'm so pleased you're here, and I'm really looking forward to diving into your story, what you do, because it just sounds incredible what you've achieved and how it's all come about. So we'll start, as I always start with my guests, with what I call the school run pitch. So it's like an elevator pitch. You've got 45 seconds. But because this is a school run pitch, think of it as you've got the kids to school, you've just dropped them off, you're running off to your next meeting, your next class, but somebody stops you and goes, sorry, what is it that you do again? What would you say?
Well, that is me in a nutshell of running running late, usually into the playground and then back out again. So I run BabyBeats. We're a national brand. We provide classes for mums and babies right from pregnancy all the way up to adulthood. We've got children's yoga as well. We've also got a book, which was an Amazon bestseller, and we have sensory toys, which parents can buy in classes. We are a massive advocate as well for women in business. So one of my biggest things is getting more women to work around family life. So building their own businesses, having autonomy over what they want to do, and building a schedule that works for them.
I mean, that's quite a list, really, isn't it? You're a busy lady, and obviously, amongst all of that as well, you are a mum. And so, what's your kind of setup at home?
Yeah, so I've got three children. I've got two cats and a dog, which usually pop in somewhere through podcast recording. So yeah, I mean, my oldest child is nearly 15, and then 13 and 9. So we're a very busy household. We're kind of out of the stage of toddlers, and they are very independent now. But I started my business when my youngest was just born. So I've had the whole toddler stage of them running around and multitasking. So it is a busy household, and I wouldn't want it any other way.
It is, and I think that's what happens when you become a mum, isn't it? You see one thing happening, or in your mind you envisage it some way, but actually the reality can be so different. And I know that this is a key theme in your book, from talking about how you feel that motherhood is sold in a certain way, that we should be this or we should be that and we should be able to do it all. But actually, there are so many different things going on, all the different relationships, the different struggles, the different personas and characteristics and personalities of your family. But not only that, the people around you, and try and navigate that is really challenging. But it's just something that you just get on with, I think, as a woman. So I don't know how that has worked for you, or if you want to delve into that a little bit deeper.
Yeah, I mean, it's a huge identity shift when you go from being you to being a mum. And I think I've learned a lot along the years of how to not lose myself in that. And I think I did initially. I became my children's mum, and that was who I'd become, and I'd take everybody's advice and I'd listen to everybody because I wasn't sure if I was doing it right. And maybe that comes from being quite a young mum. And by my third, I definitely stepped into okay, I'm going to leave that advice at the door. I don't need to take everything in, and I can actually do things my own way. And there is no right or wrong way to any part of motherhood. It's just understanding how you feel about every single element of that. So, for example, if it is your relationship, and that does have a massive shift once you bring these little people who cause chaos in your world, it does make your relationship shift. And actually, there is no right and wrong way. The way that me and my husband do things is not necessarily the way that everybody else should do them. And understanding how you're processing the change and how your partner's processing the change as well is really key for me to understanding how you develop then as a partnership, or how you develop in your business, or how you develop as a person going forward, because you are still you. You're just you elevated to another level. You've just got another part of you that's been brought in to your world. So it's all about understanding how you feel about things and listening to other people, but not necessarily feeling holden to take that advice and implement it.
I love that. And I like the idea of what you said about being elevated. It made me think of a bit like you're a bit like a tree and you've got all these different branches. And like one of your branches is like being a mum. And then you get a new branch if you start a business. Then you get a new branch because you're a friend, a partner. And it just kind of like they all then grow, don't they? And like then shed as well because like some things drop off or some things change. And it's just navigating that whole process. And I thought it was really interesting what you said about the whole idea of what you do, it's not right and it's not wrong. And it's having that kind of grace and clarity to actually trust yourself, which I think, especially as a new mum, actually, you sometimes want someone to tell you what is right and wrong because you just haven't got a clue. I mean, mine are 8 and 6 now, and most days I feel I haven't got a clue about most of the things, but I do agree. I've learned to trust myself a little bit more and trust my own instincts and think, actually, I think this is the best way to do it. And sometimes it's definitely not. Sometimes it's a complete disaster. But it's just allowing yourself the process of experiencing it and trying different things and not hanging yourself up on it has to work, it has to be perfect. Because I mean, I personally, I don't believe in perfection. I think it is one of those awful things which everyone wants to strive towards, but actually it's boring and also it's completely unattainable. It's not a real thing. Um, I don't know how you feel about that.
Yeah, it's unrealistic expectations that we put on ourselves. And I don't know, I had that expectation before I had children, that I always had a sort of a Sunday morning, you'd be laid in bed, you'd be having your coffee, your child would come in and you'd maybe read a book or do something nice. But in reality, you've been up all night and it's just not the expectations of always what you perceive it's going to be, and understanding that and going, okay, this is just because I'd expected a certain thing and it's not quite like that. It's not wrong. It's not, I'm not doing it incorrectly. This is just how it is at this moment in time. And understanding your own emotions around everything, understanding how you're processing these changes, how you're processing parenthood. And I'll say things to my children, for example, um, try it, just try it. If it doesn't work, it's fine. You've got to try these things first. But then we don't always take this advice that we give to our children and feed it to ourselves because we don't want to do things in case we fail. So any advice that I try and give my children, I think actually how can I implement that into whether that's business, whether that's parenting. Sometimes I do try things like you said, and I'm like, oh, that didn't work. That probably wasn't the right way to do it. But then actually owning that and going, okay, I wasn't right in that, my bad, apologies. Let's move on from that. And I think that's the way that I've worked within business and parenting actually does, it does align quite a lot, that you do have to try things and you do have to then hold up your hands and go, actually, that wasn't quite right, but that's fine. If I hadn't have done it, I wouldn't have learned that.
Definitely. And I've quite recently, I've tried to really zone in on failure and what it is and what it isn't. And I can't remember who I heard it from, but they said that failure is you don't ever fail. It's either a blessing, a lesson, or a silver lining. And now I try and look at things from that perspective. It does shift that whole mentality of, oh, I've done it wrong. I've made a complete error here. I've really messed up and that's no good. And I just think that's actually a really refreshing way to live because then it kind of relieves all the pressure of like, oh my goodness, I've done that wrong. I'm going to look terrible. I've ruined it. I've failed for my children. And actually, you're just learning. We're learning every day, aren't we? And that's really, really important. So I love that perspective and I love the way that you try and incorporate that. And I love the way that you've mirrored parenting and business as kind of different but similar things. Because I guess when you have a business, it is a little bit like another child, isn't it? They grow in different ways. It's different beasts. There's things that happen, and you've got to respond and react and give it your attention. So they are kind of like almost from the same, I
Yeah.
don't know, seed in a way, aren't they?
Definitely think you learn from both. I've learned lessons in business that I've gone, right, actually, this is quite similar to parenting, and exactly the same with parenting. I think, this is how I would do this almost to a child. This is the way that I would speak to them about it and their reflections on it. So I have to speak to myself in that way as well, and to, our staff, our franchisees that are out there as well, is that there's no point if you chastise a child, or, you put in disciplines and rules in, it's not always working actually. It's looking at it from their point of view and implementing everything and going back to. And again, similarly, I do it for like the dog, so like dog training as well. So rather than going on the discipline, it's actually rewarding the good stuff. So going same with the parenting as well. Rather than going, okay, you didn't do this right, it was, okay, how can we learn from that? You did really well on this part. So again, it's all these different things that we learn, all these different skills that actually can be cross-transferred to all our skill sets, whether that is parenting, whether it is business, whether it is, training your dog better, um,
Yeah.
and reflecting on yourself as well, and understanding how you work to be a better parent, to be a better business owner, to be a better, all-round human being.
I think you're so right. And I think that's why I think it can be so difficult having all these different hats, because there is such a blur between them all, where sometimes you're like, oh, you look at things from different perspectives. But at the end of the day, even though we've got different hats, we are still one person. And it's crazy to almost compartmentalize all the different things and the different aspects of ourselves. So actually to try and blend them in a way which is, it's almost like energy saving, isn't it? And energy raising, because you don't think, oh, I've got to apply this to all these different things. It's like, actually, maybe I just choose one path and try and apply it in all ways. It's actually like, it's really helpful. I love that. I'm going to take that into my own mind and use that. So I love the idea of you hoping to empower women into business, but also the women. And I don't know, do you have men come to your classes as well with the children, or is it majority of women? How do you help families in that respect?
Yeah, majority is women because our classes are designed specifically for the postnatal body. So our exercises are all for supporting the body, we're empowering it, we're accepting that your body's changed because it has. And we're definitely not part of the bounce back culture, something that we really don't believe in. We're all part
Me
of
too.
your body's changed, and it's just evolved again into this beautiful, different shape. It might go back, it might not do, and that's okay. So our classes are designed for women in that sense, but that doesn't mean that men can't come. We do have like dad specific classes as well. So dads get to do it because I think they miss out on a lot of these parts. They miss out on doing the classes and the social side as well. And we do have our not-for-profit events. So we have something called BabyBeats Meets, and we have specialists come into that to speak to parents. And sometimes they are specific. We've got a really great charity called Dads Matter. So if there is any dads listening, that's a really great charity that supports dads in the journey and how they're going through this transition as well. So we do like to encompass the whole family element, even though we are a women focused business. We want to look at the whole family unit and go, actually, this little tiny bundle has come in, and it turns your world upside down. And actually, we've got to understand every sort of element of the household to support everybody.
That's so important, I think, because I do think obviously this podcast, Happy Thriving Mums, it's about empowering us and to help us feel that we are not alone, and thriving isn't something that happens naturally and all the time, and that's fine. But it's true, it's like a team effort, isn't it? So I think it's important to recognize that and to work with everybody in that nature. So with your BabyBeats meets, and I know that you also do BabyBeats walks as well, it's clear to me that community is an important part of this journey. So how do you develop that further? So I mean, the meet sessions sound amazing, because I think sometimes you have issues and you don't know where to go. So I know whether it's like breastfeeding support or mental health, and I think having that, what do they say? It takes a village to raise a child. So it sounds like you're developing your own village through your company to help everybody.
Yeah, and I think as mums, we've become, if you've had children in the last sort of 6, 7 years, that you'll find that we went into the digital stage for quite a few years because of COVID and everything else. And I think I'm at a point now where I'm really just sick of things being online. I want to meet people, I want to interact with them, and these events really started to bring that community back, and we talk about that quite a lot in the book, is building your village. Now everybody's village might look quite different, but you have to have that village of support around you, however that might look. And what we found with the Baby Beats Meets events is that a lot of women or parents don't understand that they can self-refer to these things. They have to wait till crisis point, whereas we want to get them first. So if they are struggling with breastfeeding, if they're struggling with their mental health. It doesn't have to be that you are at the extreme crisis point that you need this help. It might be that early intervention is actually going to prevent you needing care further down the line. So just having those conversations with people, and we have a full scope of professionals that come to them. They're always free events, and we've got scar specialists. We have the pair teams, so especially up in Yorkshire, it's a lot of health visitors that come. So just general guidance that mums maybe don't realise that they can access, or especially if they've had the baby and they feel like they've had the 6 week check over the phone and they've not met anybody face to face, and they want to have that in-person contact. They don't just want a phone call. It is really important. And it also means that women can meet each other, because having those other people that go, I get it, you're so tired, I am just as tired as you. We're in it together. It's so reassuring. If you need to have a rant, if you need to have a moan, if you need to just have that person there to listen to you, those are the parts of motherhood that I think, we need to bring back. We need to bring that in-person part of it back rather than it being digital, because digital's great. It means we can access so many different things, but we sometimes only see the highlighted reels of people's motherhood journeys. We don't see the parts where you're up at, 2 a.m., 3 a.m., 3:15, 3:30, and you're absolutely exhausted. We don't always see that side. We just see the lovely neutral colours and the happiness that goes with it. So we want to create this balance that, women and fathers have got this community support that's available to them.
I think it's something that maybe our parents had much more. And I think you're exactly right. It's this change in like the digital age. And I know that COVID changed everything, but I completely agree with you. And I think that it can feel really scary though, even though like that in person is so important. It can feel quite terrifying. I think back to when I had my children and they were tiny, and the thought of going to a new class and walking in for the first time and maybe I didn't know anybody, it was awful. Like I found it like, when you get that literal feeling of dread in your stomach, and I think actually there was a couple of times I actually turned around and walked the other way. But being able to take that first step is so important. And then when you get there, to know that you are in a safe space, it changes everything. And it can really just change your day, your mood, your week, just everything. And it just being able to provide that, I think, is a beautiful thing. So on behalf of those women, thank you, because I'm sure it's made such a difference to all of those ladies that have managed to come to your events and go from there. So how about the business side of things? So how do your classes work? Because what drew me to your classes particularly was I loved the blend of what's something for the mother, but also something for the baby, because I think quite often mum guilt is a huge thing, and the idea of taking any time for yourself to go and like heal your core or to work on your strength or to just improve your confidence, you feel I haven't got the time for that. I can't justify that. But the way that your classes blend baby sensory and baby massage with that part for the mother as well, I think is a really clever idea. So can you just talk about that for a little bit?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, out the book talks a lot. We've got mum guilt gremlins. So all across the theme of the book is all about these little mum guilt gremlins that we have. And this is this internal voice in us that this child that's come into our life is so important. They are the most important things in the world. And we will always then put ourselves below that. And this constant conflict of guilt for wanting to do something, guilt for doing something. And this is not all women. This is just, from the majority that we speak to, and then actually spending that time for yourself and listening to what your body needs. So the concept came from when I first had my first child and I went to what was a baby yoga class, it was labeled as, and I was teaching yoga at the time. So I was so excited to do some yoga because I'd just had this baby and I was like, I want to get back into moving. I want to do something that's for me and she can come with me. And I'd completely misread it, misread what it was, and really naively turned up in all my yoga kit, ready to go. And we did a little bit of stretching for baby and a bit of singing. And I never found anything that I felt
Mm.
encompassed us both. And I didn't want to put her in a pushchair and me go do some workout because again, I had that mum guilt. And there was no justification for that, but I did.
Yeah.
So this concept came of actually, let's move together. Let's start this movement where parents don't just exercise on their own. And this is something that just mum and dad do. But actually, we do it as a family unit and we actually incorporate this lifestyle of having movement together and it being a normal thing and it being part of your family life, your lifestyle is that we all exercise together and exercise is important no matter your age. So baby gets some exercise or they get some movement in there. We look at the development that they're going to have during the class. And then we also support mum as well so that they move together. There's never a point that baby's left and mum's exercising the whole time. We've either got contact, we've got eye contact, skin to skin contact, and the parent and baby are moving together in a way that is supporting mum's body. And it's just having again that contact, that skin to skin, that movement, eye contact. You've got to hold baby usually with both hands, so we're all screens are down, and we're focusing on just enjoying that time together, and with other women as well. And that was something that I felt was missing, whenever I'd go to classes. So that's where the concept came from, and then it just grew, it exploded out. And we've been so successful. We've seen so many women, and the support we have for our sessions. We've got women that repeat, come back child after child. We've got ladies that I see that still come to my adult classes that have got children that are, going on 10 that are like, this was my favorite part of the week. Like I loved it. It's my favorite memory. So, it's just that feel good, and obviously I love it. I love every single part of it, but it's such a beautiful job to do and such a privilege to be part of people's maternity leave as well.
Oh, definitely, because it's a really special time, isn't it? And I just think the more that can be done to really, I mean, I was so sad when I had to go back to work after maternity leave, but do you know what I mean? It just makes it so special and so heightened, but also it sets them up for life. The way that you explained about being a family and exercising together, I love that so much. So I'm a PE teacher as well, and so for me, like getting children to exercise is everything. And I think if it's something which is instilled from birth in the case of BabyBeats, and then it's a running thread throughout life, it helps with everything. It helps with mental health, it helps with physical health, it helps connection, it helps resilience, all of these skills. So starting it off at such a young age is such a beautiful concept, and I think it's just something which is missing, I think, across the country, probably across the world in many ways, because otherwise we get to a point, especially with girls, that there is a cut-off point of when they reach about 12, 13, that they think exercise, movement is not for them anymore. And if it can be ingrained in the weave, the fabric of the family, then that's got nothing but benefit for it, surely. So I think that's so exciting. So let's talk about you a bit more now, Rose. So what do you do to look after yourself? Because as you said, you've got a crazy busy life, businesses, children, cats, dogs. You have got, I sounds like no time, but what do you do for yourself? How do you look after yourself and nourish yourself as well as nourishing all these people around you?
Well, to be honest, I didn't for quite a long time. And as I was writing the book, it was therapy. It really was therapy for me as well, and it really highlighted that actually there's a lot of elements. Even though my husband has been telling me for years to do stuff for myself, there was it was always the business needed this, or the time needed to be spent on this, or the children needed this, and I would not put any time into me. And as I was writing the book, it was a big reflection because I was, you've got to practice what you preach. You put in all these things out there, and I said, right, I've got to then take this on myself as well. So I started with a personal trainer. I'm fitness trained. I've always been, my whole adult life been in fitness and well-being, but I thought, right, no, I'm going to start and do something for me just so I can turn up. Somebody else can tell me what to do. And for that 1 hour, I can just do something without having to think about it. And I am completely accountable for that 1 hour of the week. I think it was about 9 months I started that. And that is my one thing that is completely for me. Except when my eldest daughter does like to tag along sometimes if she's off school. But that's something, and that's been brilliant for my mental well-being, even if it's been in the middle of the day and I've been crazy busy, I've got meetings, I've got stuff I need to be typing up. And I think, do you know what? I need to stop, go do this. I've booked it in, I've paid for it, so I have to go. I'm a Yorkshire woman, so if I paid for it, I'm getting it. And it refreshes everything. I go back to my desk and I'm actually refreshed to carry on. Um, so it's just that for me, again, obviously I love exercise and I've found not only the physical benefits but the mental benefits. Just having that 1 hour a week, which is set out and it's dedicated to me, that somebody else is running, I don't have to think about, it's been so beneficial.
That's so cool, and I think it is so important. And I think it's funny, isn't it? Because obviously the line of work that you do, your company, what you promote, it is that whole you have to practice what you preach, really, don't you? Because otherwise people are like, "But what do you do?" And you're like, "Oh, actually, I don't do anything." And they're like, "Hold on." So I think taking that, and also I completely agree, having somebody else to think for you in that moment, even though like deep down you could do it for yourself, it is a game changer, because actually sometimes even if you're a really motivated person, which clearly you are, and I just need sometimes someone to be like, come on, you can do this, you can push yourself that little bit more, or just like think, oh, just tell me what to do, because you spend a lot of time thinking, everyone spends a lot of time thinking, and just taking that away can sometimes be such a, it's like a little break, isn't it, really, even though obviously you're working hard still, but in a different way. Is there anything else that you like to do? Like, so do you take time with your family? Do you kind of have a active lifestyle? Like, what do you try and encompass? Because from the idea of having this family lifestyle of being active, I'm wondering if you do the same with your kids too.
Yeah, I mean, my children are sporty and into pretty much everything. My older two play rugby, so we do a lot of now ferrying around. Me and my husband, unfortunately, are not at that physical stage to be able to play things like rugby or sports. He just had a whole knee operation.
Oh no.
But yeah, we sort of encourage them in that way. So they play sports. I do. My daughter comes to the gym with me, and my son goes with my husband sometimes. And then our youngest does gymnastics. So we tend to do as much together that's active. Even my 9-year-old, she wrote out a fitness plan that then we had to do, and she'd done it in a new notebook, and we all had to follow along to her. I mean, it wasn't very well balanced. It was very heavy on the burpees. Um,
You
but
like a burpee, you like a burpee, right?
So anything like that we can do together. I mean, we live near huge woodlands, so we love taking our dog out for walks together. We kind of try and get that on a Sunday, so we're all physical, we're away from screens. Because being a parent now, it's so hard with screens. They're so accessible, especially with older children, to get them away from it. So we do try and have that time together as a family, just to reset, to talk, to move together, and just get out in the fresh air.
Makes such a difference, doesn't it? Like being outside is just, oh, it literally can change your whole day, just getting up even 5 minutes. And what would you suggest? What would you, if someone came to your class and they were like, I'm really struggling, what would be your tips or your ideas on how to be a happy, thriving mum? What would you say?
Oh, I'd definitely say look at your support systems, look at what you've got in place. Even if you just scribble it down, and again, going back to the book, a lot of that is journaling. I love scribbling stuff down, writing notes, reflecting. How did things go? How am I feeling about that? But look at your village, and if you are feeling that actually there's a gap there, and even our partners can't cover every aspect of that village. So a lot of people say, yeah, but I've got a really great partner. And say, but you also need a village in terms of, if you haven't got your parents there, or if you haven't got family support, have you got other women? Have you got that support around you? Look at that first. And then if you feel like actually that part is lacking, where can you go to find those? Look at these free events, look at the community walks. We're not in area of the UK yet. We're working on it, but there is lots of resources out there. And get yourself out face to face. And as scary as it is, exactly like you said, stepping into a room of new people can be so intimidating. So even if you manage to do that and access an event or access a class, that is the first step. And you've got to give yourself that praise for doing that because it is a hard thing to do, especially with a baby. You don't want your baby to cry in the first class and you want to look like you're an all-together mum, but none of us are all together. I always say we're all like swans. We might look amazing on the top, but underneath our feet are going crazy and we don't always know what we're doing and nobody does. We're all just doing the best that we can. Uh,
Definitely.
and if you do encounter any sort of judgment, which, women do find that they feel like they're getting judged for things, that's a reflection on that person. All you can do is the best that you can do with your child, and stick by your values, your morals of how you want to parent them.
I think that is such a wonderful takeaway. I think the support system is everything, more so than you actually ever imagined. So I love that idea. And also just to remember, we are definitely swans. We some days you feel like an ugly duckling, and other days you feel like you're really flourishing. But I think you're so right. You look elegant above the water, but underneath those feet are just going all different directions. And I think it's all the same. We are all in the same boat. And the more that we talk about this and the more that we share this, that is nothing but empowering and special. And actually, it can really, really make you feel actually, this is okay. I'm doing okay. And finally, Rose, what is next for you? So obviously, it sounds like you've got big plans. Saying you're not in every year. So no, down south there isn't many BabyBeats yet, but hopefully that is something in the future. But what's next? What are your plans? What are you looking forward to?
So we're just expanding at the moment now. We want to expand at a really healthy rate. So we're quite heavy through Yorkshire, through Lancashire as well. So we just want to open more areas, more places that people can access the support, and also getting more women into business as well. So if it is something that especially coming up to the end of maternity leave, we get a lot of women that are inquiring and going, I really want, I don't want to go back to work. This is not the right way for me. And even if they don't come on board with us in a business, actually helping them to find ways that they can create income without having to go back to work. With the new childcare hours that have come in, a lot of people are seeing the benefit of them, but also people are finding that they are getting pushed back into work unnecessarily. Or they are feeling again that mum guilt of having to go back to work because those hours are there. So it's just opening the conversations around that. It's opening the conversations around actually what do you want, what's best for your family, and how you can achieve an income that works with your life. And again, not necessarily with us, it could be with another business, but we want to open the conversations around how women can do that.
That's so important. And I think as well, when you are coming to the end of maternity leave, you do actually have a little sit down and a think to yourself, and you think, it gives you some kind of, I can't think of the right word, but you think actually this job is actually maybe not what I want to do, or this isn't going to fit in with being a mum and looking after my kids. And having somebody like yourself or an organization such as BabyBeats to actually have as a sounding board and be like, there are different options and there is so much available to you is so helpful and supportive. And just something which I think we need more of. So again, thank you for providing that for so many women. I think it's really important, and I think you are definitely a powerhouse in the area of helping women come back to a comeback, not bounce back. So I agree, bouncing back is not an option, but I think you can have a comeback into whatever the different way or route or journey is moving forward. So I love what you do. I love the sound of the company, and I wish you all the best for the future with all your expansion and all your great plans. And thank you so much for being a guest today.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been amazing.